Guys, Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg, an ad has been circulating from Mike Bloomberg this morning. And, we are at the pulse of a true revolutionary time where we are at a crossroads in our society. We really are. I mean, we have wealth inequality that has never been seen since ancient Egypt. We have a disparity amidst the working class. Education is becoming a gift solely for the elite and not for anyone else, which is textbook fascism, by the way. We are the richest country in the world, yet we cannot guarantee our people health care here in the United States of America. We're at a crossroads. Oh, and by the way, there's a climate catastrophe that we're way behind schedule on doing anything about. We're at a crossroads. And now is the time for bold messages. And you know who came out with quite a doozy today? Mike Bloomberg. Man, check this one out. Here we go. All right, so here's what Mike Bloomberg has to say about it. We need to unite to defeat Trump in November. This type of, quote, energy is not going to get us there. We're not going to watch this with the sound, by the way. Bloomberg seems like the kind of guy who would issue a copyright strike. But here we go. Let's check this out. So it's Bernie there. Bernie. Oh, here we go. People on Twitter. Oh, look at this. People on Twitter. So these are just messages. We don't even know who they're from here. Oh, man. Look at this. Look at this. This is just a collage of Bernie supporters. Oh, and here we go. So the corporate media has some quotes about this. Now, here's for Bernie Sanders. It's vital for those of us who hold different views to be able to engage in a civil discourse. Really, says Mike Bloomberg. Really, text Mike. So this is like the okay boomer of political ads. The purpose of this ad is literally saying, hey, sometimes people are mean online, which has been a fact since, the advent of the internet. This ad, which is completely pointless. The point of this ad is sometimes supporters can be less than civil online. That's the point of this ad. The entire point of this ad. And it targets Bernie. Why? Because Bernie is the most popular candidate. That's why. It's the only reason why. If someone else was the most popular candidate, that person would have been, in the target of the ad. This is what happens when you have no restriction on money in politics. If we actually had the public financing of all elections and no corporate money in politics, no big money in politics, ads like this wouldn't exist. Why? Because you wouldn't have the time or resources or finances to put out an ad where the entire point is literally sometimes people can be less than civil online. Sometimes, and by the way, let's check this out. So the avatars of people are blurred out, but it looks like they reused the same people a couple times. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like they reuse the same people a handful of times. Like they used that person before. So it's like they're trying to come up with a 1-minute collage of online supporters being in civil, like not civil, and they have to use the same people multiple times. Can you believe that? Like, they have to use the same people multiple times to prove this point. All they need to do is fill 20 seconds of an ad. 20 seconds of an ad to show online supporters of Bernie Sanders being less than civil, and they need to reuse some of the same people. It's almost like maybe this ad is complete BS. Maybe this ad is complete BS. Which, by the way, we got some friends of the show have gotten shout-outs here. Check this out. Jake Flores, who is the host of the podcast Pod Damn America, very funny podcast. He's in this. 021 is me doing literal violence by telling you to stick your head in a toilet. So comedians are in this, by the way. Comedians, for being unorthodox on Twitter, are in a politician's ad. Check this out. So let's go to the 21-minute mark. Oh, wait, I don't want the sound. Here we go. Why won't it let me? All right, whatever. I guess we just got to watch it. I'll try to stop it at the 21 second mark. So there it goes. Some of the same people. There we go. Oh, wait, we just missed it. Here we go. If you had said the word Bernie bro on this website in the last 4 years and you give one red sent to this sexist, racist Mike Bloomberg mother effer, you should just stick your head in the toilet and log off. And Mike Bloomberg's like, oh, man. This is such a dumb ad. This ad, first of all, you could make this about any candidate, first of all, who has run in the history of ever. You could do this about anyone. You could do this about Warren supporters. You could do this about Yang supporters. You could do this about Tulsi supporters. You could do this about Bernie supporters, sure. You can do this about Trump supporters. You can do this about Mike Bloomberg supporters. You could even do this about Joe Biden supporters. I'm sure some of them, if pudding isn't served in the nursing home, they get cranky. You can do this about Pete Buttigieg supporters. All 5 of them. You can do this about any supporters, anytime. Why? Because the internet is a big place. And sometimes people are rude on the internet. Sometimes people are less than civil on the internet. Why? Because it's anonymous. You're behind a keyboard. You don't see the face of the other person. There have been studies about this. There have been studies after study on people's behavior online. This is such a pointless ad. Sometimes people aren't nice online. And let's not forget, tone policing is the last refuge of people who have no ideas of their own. People who have no ideas of their own resort to tone policing. When they have no rebuttal, when they have no refute. Now that's not saying give people a license to just be jerks all the time. That's not what I'm saying. You know, there is something to be said to like actually discuss issues instead of just shouting at each other. Sure, I'm for that. But, you know, when all you can do is tone police random supporters online and then try to just link that directly to Bernie. What a dumb ad. And in our time, that's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. Look at all the issues plaguing our society right now. We have a homelessness crisis. And hey, Bloomberg's in New York City. He should know a thing or two about that. People are working 2 and 3 jobs to survive. A climate catastrophe is upon us. Our elections are far from free and fair. I mean, man, just pick an issue. We're on the brink of losing a free and open internet. Mike Bloomberg is running for the highest office of the land. And all he can say in an ad is, some Bernie supporters aren't nice online. They've even said some things about me. The stop and frisk guy. The guy who recently, audio of him from 2015, where he said that black people should have less rights than white people. And yes, that is what he said. He justified stop and frisk by saying, hey, look at the statistics. Black people are the ones committing crimes. So you got to stop them and frisk them to find the guns. A white person, you don't need to do that. In fact, Mike Bloomberg went on to say he thinks that we stop white people too much, we being the stop and frisk police. They stop white people too much, according to Mike Bloomberg. So the guy who in 2020, or well, I guess he said it in 2015, but who in 2015, long time after the Civil Rights Act, long time after we got rid of the idea of separate but equal because we realized how repulsive it was, Mike Bloomberg is calling for stuff like that. And he refuses to apologize for it. That guy is tone policing people on Twitter. Unreal. Like, that's just so crazy. And what a dumb waste of an ad. Like, what a stupid ad. But some supporters are mean online. And I have 20 seconds to show you the gamut of it. And I need to repeat some people over and over again. Because I have so few examples. He could have literally done this about anybody. You could do this about anyone. Anyone running for office, you could do this about. And this is what Mike Bloomberg's. This is what happens when you're a billionaire. You put out an ad like this and you think it's a productive use of time. You think it's a good use of time. Mike Bloomberg. Tone policing. Our civilization is crumbling. And he's tone policing. He would be tone police. Miami could be sinking underwater in front of our very eyes. And he'd be like, somebody was mean to me on Twitter. That's a narcissist, by the way. That's a full-blown narcissist. Anyway, first of all, you have to have a little bit of narcissism to run for president. Let's be honest. That's just the reality. A little bit. But man, you got it to the full-blown nth degree. If you're thinking about what's a productive ad to have right now, and you think, let's talk about how Bernie supporters have been mean to me online. Let's do a thing about that. Really? You don't want to, what about some of your plans? What plans? Yeah, that's the problem. You don't have any plans. Bernie bros. Mike Bloomberg. Which, by the way, going on the theme of, guess it's just Bernie bros. This happened to a Bernie supporter recently. Savage Joy, friend of the show. We had her on the show recently. She was interviewed by New Wave Vader. She was out in Iowa, campaigning for Bernie, and now she's back in Pennsylvania. And this happened to her. So this whole idea that sometimes Bernie supporters can be a little bit blunt or brutal or a little bit harsh sometimes, and they're the only ones. Really? Let's take a look at this thread. This happened in Pennsylvania. As some of you know, I just went to a mock caucus in Lancaster, PA. PA votes at the polls, but this was the first step of an endorsement process for an organization Bernie won by 63.8% of the vote. Anyway, I was made captain of a Bernie section. I went to talk to non-viable supporters to try to convince them to join Team Bernie. I went to the undecideds. A guy immediately came up to me before I fully made it to their section, and this is how the conversation went. Oh, so you're a Bernie? This is what the guy said to her. Yes. What's the most important issue to you? The guy says, beating Trump. I understand. Bernie beats Trump by at least 10 points in all the polls coming out. And the other candidates are all within a 4% margin of error. The guy grabs her arm. No, he doesn't. You, Bernie, or busters are the reason we have Trump. First of all, he touched her. He had no business touching her. He grabbed her arm. You better tell me right now you'll vote blue no matter who, and tell Bernie he better make his people or don't bother saying another word to me. Sir, voting is a personal choice. I am focusing on getting Bernie elected in the primaries. He grabs her arm again, even tighter, proceeds to get in her face and yell, please get off of me, she says. Well, you're making me so mad and you're lying to me and you won't give me an answer. Then he turns and walks away. Savage Joy was shaking. A woman came up to her and said she's a counselor, asked if she wanted to talk. So, turns out even undecided voters can be jerks. And by the way, this wasn't just some meme online. This was somebody physically assaulting another person. That's what this was. And this wasn't a Bernie supporter doing it. This was somebody doing that to a Bernie supporter. And Mike Bloomberg, who, by the way, has no idea what it's like to volunteer your time for a candidate because you want to be able to go to a doctor. The way so many people are experiencing this in the country. I mean, I just canvassed for Bernie yesterday. That was the first time I ever got involved with a presidential campaign since 2008 when I did some volunteering for Dennis Kucinich. And honestly, I don't know when I mean, I usually don't like to get involved on that side of the fence. But, I think what we're facing right now is very important. And I decided I wanted to canvass for Bernie. And I'm glad I did. It was a good experience. And, so many people, they're like, I'm facing crippling student loan debt. I don't have health care. One of the women there, she was a doctor. She had a shirt on that said "Doctors for Bernie," because she sees how corrupt our healthcare system is, and Bernie wants to do something about it. And these are people volunteering their time in many cases. These are people, trying to talk to people, telling them why it's important for a Bernie Sanders presidency. And Mike Bloomberg, a billionaire, completely disconnected from regular people. A guy who oversaw stop and frisk, which brutalized people in New York City, people of color and black people in New York City. That guy puts out these tone-deaf ads about, Bernie supporters can be mean online sometimes. Here's a small handful of examples I can come up with. One of them's a comedian engaging in a metaphor. It blows my mind there is anyone that takes that ad remotely seriously. And it blows my mind that even in Mike Bloomberg's campaign, there was nobody that was like, don't you think there's something more productive we could put out there? I mean, you just show a handful of people doing stuff online. Some of these are just memes, like whatever. So there you go. Mike Bloomberg, crushing it.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and